Welcome to today's episode of Polished. And today we have a very, very special guest with us today, a timeless classic, businesswoman, consul official, former consul official now, Beata Koropatwa. So welcome, Beata. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Steve. It's such an honour. Thank you. I was delighted.
Good. Lovely to have you here. Let's start how about we start in the business world?
Yeah.
So you run many businesses over the years, your main business being Oz Laser.
Yes.
And what fascinates me about that is the fact that it's an IT business, but you've got no background in IT at all. And I think we're very good in Australia at pigeonholing people into certain things. So I think there's a lot of business lessons to learn from that. Can you tell us how you fell into IT?
And falling into it is about right, Steve. Look, I actually fell into it. I was working for a global organisation, a Japanese company, and I was there for quite a few years. And at one point, I thought, if I can just do 10% of what they do and really look after my clients, then I'll be fine. So I started a business with one of my colleagues at work, and we worked from home for the first few months. And then very quickly, we realized that the customers just wanted to follow us. And at that time, the company wasn't doing so well in Australia, and we had an idea that they might be pulling out. So we thought, well, we've got to save this customer base. So we started working from home, and before we knew it, within 6 months, we had quite a big problem, and that's we had more business than we had cash flow. So I think I mentioned to you in the past, and I was dealing with a lot of these suppliers, and they knew me, but I didn't have a lot of money. So I had this diamond bracelet, and I used to use that as collateral. So I'd go to the suppliers and say, I'm honest, and I'll pay you back, but I don't have the cash flow, but I've got all of these orders. Have a look, take my bracelet, and then when I get the money, I'll pay you back. And till today, some of those suppliers are still my suppliers.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
And do you still have the diamond bracelet?
I still have the diamond bracelet. I upgraded a little bit since, but it's there at home as a reminder of what is possible.
And where you came from?
Exactly.
Was the diamond bracelet, was that a family heirloom or something treasured, or just something you'd worked hard for?
Something I worked hard for, and in those times the diamonds weren't that expensive, so it wasn't such a big diamond bracelet, but it was just something that was treasured, and it kind of formed. It was a reminder of where I'd come from, because I started, from very humble beginnings when we came to Australia. So for me, it was like, okay, this is what you've achieved so far, and hang on to that. And that will be passed down to hopefully one of my grandchildren when I have one.
Great, so I have a great daughter.
We'll have to hurry up, Tom.
Tom and Alex, please.
Well, so maybe on that note, why don't you tell us about, I'm sure you've got a fascinating story about how you came from Poland and ended up in Australia. I'm assuming that you grew up under communism, probably didn't have a lot of anything, and now got many flourishing businesses and highly successful. So how was that journey?
Steve, it actually goes prior to that. It goes back to after World War II. My mum was separated from her whole family. And my mum was actually raised in an orphanage. And when she was 18, the Red Cross notified her. She was actually going to become a nun. She was living in a convent and was doing her vows and everything to become a nun. And then she met my father, who then convinced her not to become a nun. and the Red Cross notified my mum that her father is alive and he lives in Australia. So my mum was actually pregnant with me 3 months when she came out to Australia to meet her father, and she hadn't seen her father since she was 3 years old.
And how old was she when she made the journey out here?
She was nearly 20.
Okay.
So all that time she was living in the orphanage, And when she came here, she realised not only was her father here, but her sister was here, and she had 2 stepsisters, I think they called, stepsisters, but also that her mother was still alive, that her mother was actually in Poland they call it a sanatorium, which is like a health, a hospital. Because my grandmother, a bomb had exploded when she was actually going out when my mum was 3, and when my mum's sister was 1 looking for food. A bomb had exploded and my grandmother was buried under rubble for 10 days.
And she lived?
She lived, but she had severe anemia. So she didn't remember. So when my mum found out her mother was alive, and her mother was in a place called Zielona Góra, my mum came straight back, pregnant with me, went to Zielona Góra, and when she met her mother for the first time, she said, "Oh, Mum, it's me." And this lady, as my mum put it, she said, it was like looking in a mirror. She had the same eyes as me. She had the same face. And this lady said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not your mum. I have a 3-year-old daughter." So that's where her, and that's where she stayed for the rest of her life. My family wanted to bring her out, but she was the cook. So my grandmother was a fabulous cook. So at the sanatorium, she got on very well with all the nurses and everything. And the doctors and the director said, "Look, she's so happy here. If you took her to Australia, she doesn't know anybody. She doesn't know you because of the anemia." So after that, it took, I think, my grandfather about 5 years to get us papers so that we would emigrate. I was at that point in time 5 years, and my mum had 2 other children, my sister and brother, twins, and they were 2 years old, and we emigrated to Australia. So, and of course, we came to Brisbane where my grandfather and everybody was, and coming from a communist country, I think my parents came with 20 Australian dollars, a present from my grandfather and auntie, and 2 suitcases and 3 children.
Did they have any work, or did they even speak English? Or?
Not at all. And they came to Australia, no language, worked very hard. My mum was a nurse in Poland. So initially when we came, she actually was working cleaning aeroplanes. My parents would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go. My dad worked in a factory. And again, it was, and Brisbane in those times wasn't very open to, immigrants and everything. And so my parents worked hard. My mum eventually got a job as a nurse, and my dad continued. And I think if you ask my mum today, because my dad's passed, their biggest pride was raising their 3 children. So we grew up in a very humble, in fact, we grew up in one of the poorest suburbs in Australia. So we kind of grew up looking after ourselves. We didn't have very much. My parents lived a very humble life, but we were part of the Polish community. So, we went to Polish school because that was kind of the link to having, our connection with Poland. So we all went to Polish school. We went to Polish dancing. We'd go to the Polish club in Brisbane. And still a lot of the friends were part of our Polish community.
Fantastic. And I believe you did a lot of dancing as well, not just...
Oh, I did a lot of dancing. I tell you, these calves are meant dancing. And I loved it. So we were part of the group called Acorss, which was the Brisbane Polish dancing group. And it was lovely because every Sunday we'd have dancing practice, and we got together with the community, and then we had performances. And I just remember my mum and dad would come to the concerts and they were so proud. And today, my brother, at the age, I think he's 56, continues, and my nephews still dance in the Polish community. And it's our connection to our homeland and to my parents' homeland.
Maybe we can get you on stage next November at the Polish Festival in Melbourne.
I don't know if I still got it, but I don't know if I'd wish it upon. I could still do an Oberek or a Krakovia. I remember the steps clearly.
And how about, until recently, you were a consular official?
Yes.
That's quite an honour to be elected to that sort of position. Can you tell us How about
It,
that?
it really was an honour, and I worked closely with the Honorary Consul General here, Andrzej Soshinsky, and I had the honour of working with our Consul General in Sydney, Piotr. And it kind of came about. My dad passed away when we were in COVID, and being in Melbourne, we couldn't go to see him, we couldn't go to his funeral. And probably about 5 days before he passed, I had a FaceTime with him, and he said to me, "You've done great for the community. You've done great for the business community. You're a philanthropist. It would be really great if you could just go back to your roots in the Polish community. They could maybe do with a little bit of your help." So at the time, I started working with Andrzej here in Victoria, and it was an absolute honour. I felt like I was honouring my father's memory, and I was back in the Polish community. And I felt very proud that with my experience and with my skill set, I was able to represent, the Victorian consulate and the Australian consulate at different events. And I really enjoyed the consular corps, and, they're just really lovely people. So I really enjoyed that. And then I've stepped away from that in the last couple of months. And alongside of that, I've been working with the Polish Australian Chamber of Commerce, where I had the pleasure of meeting you and so many other smart, Polish Australian people. So that's been an absolute honour too.
And I think are we allowed to announce that as of about an hour ago, you on the special advisory board of the Polish Australian Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I think you've known for 2 weeks. It's up to you, but yes.
Monica, who is our president, and of course the board, and yourself. I'm honoured to do that, because I really feel I'm at a stage in my life where I've done the business, the money, the finances, all that's behind me. And my daughter, who studied law and psychology, said, "Mum, you're in that legacy phase where you want to make a difference." And I'm like, it's true. I think I've been in that phase probably 15 years, where I just want to work with great people. I want to make a difference. I really want to represent my heritage, because when I came out at 5, my whole life was really around Polish people. We do Vigilia. I've got Vigilia happening in 2 weeks, and my children, we have 25 to 30 people around our Vigilia table, and we have opłat. We have those traditions that I know my children really appreciate, and I know that they'll pass that on to their children. So for me, it's really about promoting what Poland really stands for.
And your children, Tom and Alex, they're very, very successful in their own right as well. Do they have an affinity to Poland? Do they have the same love that you do? Or
Oh, they really do. And yes, and I love talking about my children. And my daughter, as you know, is a legal counsel for Apple, and Tom is at Ernst & Young Parthenon. And they're just about to get their Polish passports, because they really want to, and given that Poland's one of the strongest economies, they're both quite excited about the fact that they could go back to Poland. We've got hundreds and hundreds of cousins. I think my family is over 300 or 400 people. It's when I go to Poland, I think, oh goodness, I'm going to arrange a big reunion, because you want to go here and there. So yes, they have a real affection and a real affinity, and are really proud, and they call themselves half Polish because their mum's Polish. So so they'll continue on that legacy of our patriotism.
Right.
Okay.
And I understand you've got quite a knack for meeting celebrities. I think you told me stories about randomly meeting with Honor and her family in Saint-Tropez, and I believe Tom's very close with Oscar Piastri, who's going to win the championship this Sunday.
Because, yes, they went to school together.
What's your most exciting celebrity encounter so far?
There's a couple, but I'm like Forrest Gump. I really am. I'm like, if you've ever seen the movie, Forrest Gump was just meeting all these random people in places that were it came out of the blue. So In the last couple of years, I had the honour of meeting Sir Richard Branson, and we got on very well. And he was delightful, and he invited me to Necker Island, which at some point I'll say yes to. But one of the exciting things, and I was in New York last year with my children, and for Christmas I thought, give them an experience. How did things? So we went to Broadway, and there was the show Moulin Rouge. And when we got to the show, I realised Boy George was in the show, and he was my icon. I love Boy George. I love Culture Club. And when we finished, we came out, and my son's like, Mum, stand around here because, they generally come out. Anyway, of course, it came out, but he was right down the other side, and he just finished some time in Australia with The Voice, I think it was. And my daughter, bless her soul, she screams out, Boy George, can you come and see my mum from Australia? And he stood up, he said, Where's the lady from Australia? And he came over, and oh my goodness, I was so starstruck. I got the most ridiculous photos with my face, and then I've got one hugging him, and it was just extraordinary. So that was really a highlight. The next day I'm like, oh my God, I met Boy George. But I've met some amazing people, and I've had experiences. I met Bill Clinton, I've met Kofi Annan, I've met some really extraordinary people, and again, it was just, I'm no socialite. I'm really just a humble person trying to make a world of difference to people. I was the chair of the Hunger Project here in Victoria. I got to meet some truly amazing people, and really it was on the back of being of service. So I think that's the most important part.
And so Boy George topped all of them, the Bill Clintons, the Kofi Annan, Richard Branson. That was your heart.
Richard was up there, but Boy George was pretty much like, oh goodness, I was really starstruck. Because, as a child, I actually used to dress up like Boy George. My friend liked with us at school. So for me, yeah, he was one of the top ones.
High praise. So, okay, well, thank you very much for joining us today, Beata. It's been wonderful as always, and thank you for your time. It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.